The reorganization of Sony's Japan studio begins today, after several of the studio's longtime developers announced their departure from the company. The reorganization of Sony's Japan studio, which has been responsible for PlayStation hits such as The Last Guardian, Bloodborne, Demon's Souls PS5, and many others, begins today. The restructuring arrives after many of the Sony Japan studio's veterans announced they were leaving the company. Rumors began to circulate late last year that the majority of the Japan studio staff were laid off, prompting many to believe that the studio was going to shut down for good. In February, Sony announced that the studio would remain open, but would be reorganized to center around the Asobi team, the team of developers within the Japan studio that created Astro's Playroom. The other departments in the studio, including localization, IP management, and external production, will move to PlayStation Studios, while first-party development elsewhere in the studio is likely to cease entirely. After news of the restructure surfaced, many of the studio's longtime developers began to leave the company en masse. The exodus began with Masaaki Yamajiwa and Ryo Sogabe, who both played key roles in the development of Bloodborne, announcing that they were leaving the company the same day that Sony made news of the restructuring public. Several other developers have also left the studio, including Silent Hill and Gravity Rush director Keiichiro Toyama, Demon's Souls producer Teruyuki Toriyama, and Gravity Rush character designer Shunsuke Saito. Shunsuke Saito, known for designing Cat from Gravity Rush, is leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment today, along with Bloodborne producer Motomura. PlayStation Vita fans are likely to remember Gravity Rush as one of the most popular exclusive games the console had to offer. PlayStation 4 fans who decided to pick it up might also remember Gravity Rush from its eventual port, and its successor, Gravity Rush 2, which found its home on the PlayStation 4 exclusively. Now, character designer for Gravity Rush, Shunsuke Saito, has announced their departure from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Gravity Rush first came out on the PS Vita in 2012. One of the key features of the game was the ability to control in-world gravity via the PS Vita's gyroscope. Another key feature of the game, however, was gorgeous art and interesting character designs. At the center of this was Cat, the game's heroine, who was so universally beloved that Sony put her in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Shunsuke Saito was the mastermind behind Cat's design, as well as the design for several other main characters. In a Twitter announcement made on March 31, Shunsuke Saito announced that he would be leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment, the publisher behind Gravity Rush, as of today. The official reason for this departure is unknown. Also unknown is what projects Saito will be pursuing next, and at what company. Also leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment is Bloodborne's producer, Kentaro Motomura, who is retiring. While there was no reason announced for these departures, rumors suggest it is part of Sony's game plan going forward. At the end of February, news spread of Sony's decision to downsize Japan studio, the studio Saito and Motomura worked under. It is likely that this downsizing was the reason for Sato's leaving the studio. Sony's Japan studio was the developer behind several of Sony's most critically acclaimed IPs, including the likes of Gravity Rush, Bloodborne, Freedom Wars, Soul Sacrifice, and many others. Fans will surely be sad to see that Saito is leaving, but hopefully Sato's talent will have him well situated in another studio making games sooner rather than later. Some might be happy to see Saito move on to newer things. Development at Sony's Japan studio has appeared stunted for a while now, with releases trickling out much slower than in the past. As of late, Sony has seemed to shift its focus to its Western audience, outside of the development projects within its Japan studio. It will be interesting to what work Saito pursues in the future. The latest developer to announce their departure is Demon's Souls PS5 director Gavin Moore, who had worked for Sony for 24 years, including 18 years in the Japan studio. Moore announced his departure today on Twitter, adding that he is excited to seek out new and exciting opportunities. With that, it looks like Japan studio is sadly no more, something that no doubt many wish was an April Fool's prank. Moore has been with Sony for 24 years, with 18 of those years spent in Japan. He served as director on Puppeteer, a PlayStation 3 platformer from 2013 that garnered mostly positive reviews. Back in January, he admitted to wanting to make a sequel to the game instead of remaking it, but with him no longer at Japan studio, it's extremely unlikely that a sequel will ever see the light of day. He was also the creative director behind the Demon's Souls remaster for the PlayStation 5. It should be clarified that Japan studio isn't necessarily being shut down. Despite the many departures, what is left of the studio is being repurposed and given the new name of Team Asobi. Asobi Team was originally a separate team with Japan studio responsible for the Astro Bot games. As such, the renamed Team Asobi will focus entirely on more projects within that series. Even if the studio will still exist in some form, many are lamenting the new direction, not just because of the mass exodus of talent, but because the studio was responsible for many classic and beloved titles and series that have been praised for their uniqueness and originality, including but not limited to Ape Escape, Parappa the Rapper, and Gravity Rush. Many believe that the studio's creativity is being stifled, and that so many potential ideas for interesting games have been lost. It seems that the departing developers are leaving Sony on good terms, and if any of them do have a grudge against the company, they have done a good job staying silent about it. Fortunately for PlayStation fans, most of the departing talent will continue to work as developers in the gaming industry. Toyama, for example, founded Bokeh Game Studio shortly after he left Sony. Several other former Sony Japan studio employees have joined Bokeh. The studio is currently working on a horror title, though the untitled game is still a few years away from releasing. As more longtime developers depart the Sony Japan studio, it seems that IPs tied to the studio will now be the responsibility of PlayStation Studios. Sony created PlayStation Studios as the official branding for all of the company's in-house developers, including studios such as Santa Monica Studio, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, Insomniac Games, and several others. I hope the industry veterans should make more use of their talent and make more games, that's all we ask. Up next we have PS5 sales statistics in its home country Japan. PlayStation 5 sales are picking up in its home region, Japan, possibly indicating an increase in the stock of the next-generation console. Both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X have been incredibly difficult for fans to find, with the global pandemic, a shortage in semiconductors, and scalpers all playing a role in keeping them out of people's hands. Thankfully, recent PlayStation 5 sales in Japan may signal the start of a recovery. Home console sales in Japan have been slowly, but consistently declining over recent years, including for the PlayStation 5. When the console launched in November of last year, many Japanese analysts and fans accused Sony of not prioritizing the market enough. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan refuted the claims at the time, but the damage was already done. 6 weeks after launch, the console had only moved 240,000 units, which is rather dismal when compared to the PlayStation 4 selling 322,083 units in just its opening weekend when it launched in the region. The PlayStation 5 was in a rough position at the start of the year, with 2020 being the first year since the brand launched in 1994 that less than 1 million units were sold in the region. The low stock and high demand have caused a lot of incidents, including a PlayStation restock being cancelled due to crowd violence in Japan. But things are starting to look up for the console. To date, it has now sold 517,916 units in its home territory. More importantly, the consistency with which the console has been moving units in recent weeks. In the week from March 8 to March 14, the console sold 37,851 units and sold 34,657 units the following week. The steadier performance is indicative of a more steadily available stock being met with community demand despite the fears that Sony was not prioritizing the region following Sony's downsizing of the popular Japan studio. As much as the PlayStation's recent numbers are an improvement, the console is still trailing behind not only Nintendo Switch sales in the region but, more surprisingly, also the Switch's predecessor, the Wii U. However, the console stock is undoubtedly still being impacted by the ongoing pandemic and global shortages, which does skew these numbers to be lower than they would be if the console had launched in a more typical environment. The consistency of the numbers does signal Sony's ability to start getting more consoles on shelves, however, so hopefully soon everyone who wants to buy one will be able to find one without dedicating hours tracking restocks.
We're after the new form. Ignore everything else. Get rid of him. Then grab as much as you can carry.
And finally, we have to discuss the free PS Plus games for April 2021 that was officially announced by Sony. PlayStation fans know that the last Wednesday of every month means that the next set of free PlayStation Plus games are about to be announced. And as expected, Sony has officially announced the free PS Plus games for April 2021, consisting of one PS5 game and two PS4 games. Starting Tuesday, April 6th, PlayStation Plus subscribers can claim Oddworld Soulstorm for PS5, and Days Gone and Zombie Army 4 Dead War for PS4. Sony actually announced Oddworld Soulstorm as a free PS Plus game last month, but it had kept the two PS4 games a secret until today. An earlier leak had let the cat out of the bag that the other free PS Plus games for April 2021 would be Days Gone and Zombie Army 4 Dead War, and it turns out that leak was 100% accurate. For those unfamiliar with the games, Oddworld Soulstorm is a reimagining of Oddworld Abe's Exodus from the 90s, which uses a unique 2.9-dimensional perspective. Days Gone, meanwhile, is an open-world zombie horror game from the developers of the Siphon Filter franchise, while Zombie Army 4 Dead War is a co-op third-person shooter game. The inclusion of Days Gone in the free PS Plus lineup is a bit of a head-scratcher for some subscribers. The game is already available through the PS Plus collection on PS5, and so some may think it's a wasted spot. However, this way the game is more readily available to PS Plus subscribers on PS4, and not only that, but this is far from the first time that Sony has double-dipped for its PlayStation Plus free games and the PS Plus collection. In any case, PS Plus subscribers can add all three of these games to their digital libraries come April 6th. Until then, there is still some time for PlayStation Plus subscribers to claim the free PS Plus games for March 2021. Those include Final Fantasy VII Remake and Remnant, From the Ashes on PS4, plus Farpoint for PlayStation VR users. Those on PlayStation 5 have until April 6th to claim the first-person Puzzler maquette as well. It's also worth pointing out that one of the free PS Plus games for February 2021 will be available until April 6th as well. Destruction All-Stars was made free to PS Plus subscribers for 2 months instead of the usual 1 month, following in the footsteps of the first-ever free PS Plus game for PS5, the quirky Bugsnax. It's unclear if Sony will continue this trend with future games, but the April 2021 free PS Plus games will be cycled out on May 3, 2021. So what do you think, guys? The reconstruction or downsizing the Sony Japan studio is a good move or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and also about the free PS Plus games for April 2021 and the PS5 sales growth in Japan. Give the video a thumbs up and share it for a bigger audience. Subscribe if you are new and click the bell icon for more updates. And until then, from SMPV, it's goodbye.